Welcome to Q&A with Don. I'm your host, Don Purdom. This week, Bill in San Jose asks, Don, I'm having a really hard time generating leads. No matter where I go, if it's a networking meeting or if it's on my website, no one seems really interested in talking with me about what I do. Well, Bill, that's a really great question. And in your email to me, you threw out the first problem, what I do. See, we spend a lot of time as business owners talking about what it is I do instead of what problems I solve or how do I make a difference in your life or what's important to you. So let me give out a couple of tips today that might be able to help you. Tip number one, when you're offline, let's say you just have that few minutes in the elevator and you're talking to a prospect who turns to you and says, Don, tell me, what do you do? Love that question, don't you? What do you do? Well, that's a really easy question to answer because I just look back at this individual and I say, hi, I'm Don again. What's your name? Joe. Hey, Joe, it's great to meet you. Joe, let me ask you a question. If there's one thing that you could improve on that would make a difference in your online marketing, what would it be? And then shut up and let him tell you. He may not tell you the truth, and it doesn't really matter. Because what we're going after here is trying to find out what he thinks his real problem is. Now, when he's done telling you, you can turn right back to Joe and say, Joe, thanks so much for taking a second to share that. That's exactly what we do. We help companies like yours solve the problem of ... It's quick, it's concise, and almost 90% of the time I get a phone call meeting or a personal meeting with them within a week to talk about what are the things that they're going through. So it's a really effective tool to use offline. Now, if you're networking and you have 30 seconds, show up early to the networking group, talk to some people, ask them that question. What are they struggling with? What are some of the things that they're going through? Where do they need to improve in certain areas? And then put your 30, 45 second, 1 minute presentation at your networking meeting around that. You will find that if you're not talking about what you do, but you talk to one person solving one specific problem, there is more than one person in that room going through that. Secondly, they also know someone who's going through that. So if you just talk about what you do without connecting the dots as to why they should be considering you or why they need to talk to you or why they need to refer someone to you, then you're really not giving them the reason to do that if all you're doing is talking about what you do. So hopefully that answers that part of the question a little bit for you, Bill. Now, it's a little bit more complex with that sometimes, but generally it really is that simple. That's all you need to do. Don't make this hard. Where it's hard is in the beginning, because now I'm going to pivot to the website and to your social media, which, by the way, Bill, I did take a look at, and I understand why you're struggling, because you're doing the same thing online. You're simply putting out content that tells people what you do. Number one, it's uninspiring. Two, it's boring. And number three, it doesn't incentivize anybody to do anything with you or for you. You'll have to give them a reason to want to talk with you further. And just by telling somebody what you do, that's not going to cut it. Now, think about that with me for a minute. If you first go through a website of somebody you've never met and you don't know, or a business you've never met and you don't know what they do, what are the odds you're going to buy from them? It's probably pretty slim. Why? Because you're going to have to build up your competency with them. You're going to have to demonstrate to them that you know what you're talking about when it comes to, catch this, here we come back around to the full circle again, solve their problems or make a difference in their lives or businesses. That's all that's to this, folks. You have to be able to do that. Now, the foundation for that is much harder, because you literally have to go through and figure out what business am I really in. In other words, how does the public see you? How do your prospects see you? How do your customers see you? That's going to be very, 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 very different than how you see yourself. Most business owners have no idea how the world sees their company. And then we come up with all of these great things that we think are catchy and cute, but really ineffective because it just doesn't connect. The second thing you have to do, in addition to figuring out what business I'm really in, is discovering what problems do I really solve. Again, we have to think about this from the customer's point of view. One of the things I love to do, it's just part of the funnest part of my job, is I love to call and talk to clients or customers of my client and ask them, so tell me, what did ABC company do for you? What problem did they solve for you? And by the time I'm done talking to a number of these folks, what I find is the way their customers perceive them is very different than the way they perceive themselves. Now just imagine for a moment, if you've got a website that's talking to people the way that they think you really are, not the way you think they are, but if you're actually solving their problems, if you're actually helping them, if you're actually making a difference for them through your website, through your blog, through your social media, through your videos, imagine what power is behind that for them to want to reach out to you. Folks, if your marketing is done right, sales will be easier. That doesn't mean you're going to get every sale. There's a lot of other things that go into sales. Personalities. Do we match up well? Can we work together? If not, then we can find other people to connect them with to help them and do a real service for them. But the point is that your sales should get easier. You shouldn't be fighting and kicking and scratching, and you shouldn't be marketing inside your sales. That's another conversation. I've addressed that in other places in my blog. Encourage you to look into that. But the point of the matter is, here's the truth of the matter. Your offline and your online world is the same in terms of your presentation. It's just that the tools are different. And learning how to master those things is a skill set that's developed, not one that just naturally happens. I mean, I've been at this for 10 years in entrepreneurship, and really just in the last 2 years have I finally caught on to how do I talk to real people with real problems, one person at a time, and make a difference for them. Because I now know that if one person's got that problem, how many thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions have that same problem. Now, I don't care if you're retail, manufacturing, a service industry, it doesn't matter. You are still solving a problem for somebody. Even if that problem is I want to have a nice weekend out on the deck with my family and a barbecue. That's a problem for somebody who doesn't have what they need to do that. But you have to think about it in their terms. If I were writing or if I were crafting videos around that, I would want to show people having a great time using my product or service. Pictures, video, maybe a little less text, right? Because it's all about the experience. But some companies need to be more text-based because we have to build up our competency, and that happens through the writing process or the video process, the educational process. Either way, we have to always be solving a problem. So Bill, I hope that helps you. The number one thing you can do to make your marketing more effective is to talk to people about them, not talk about you. That is the hardest thing for us to do. So Bill, I hope again that answers your questions. Of course, as you can see by the Christmas tree here, we're coming up on Christmas next week. So if I don't do another video between now and then, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. And I'll look forward to introducing you to some new people through our upcoming podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Don Purdom. Thanks.